this total conversion. Okay. So, we have to read the para?
Yes, Rangada.
Yes.
Okay. So, one of you decide and read, start reading.
Can I read?
Yes, why not?
But if this total conversion is to be done, there must be a consecration of our actions and outer movements as much as of our mind and heart to the divine. There must be accepted and progressively accomplished a surrender of our capacity of working into the hands of a greater power behind us, and our sense of being the doer and worker must disappear. All must be given for a most direct use into the hands of the divine will, which is hidden
Divine
by
will.
this divine will, which
Hmm.
is hidden by these frontal appearances. For by that permitting will alone is our action possible. A hidden power is the true Lord and overruling observer of our acts, and only He knows through all the ignorance and perversions and deformation brought in by the ego their entire sense and ultimate purpose. There must be affected a complete transformation of our limited and realistic life and works into the large and direct outpouring of a greater divine life, will, and energy that now secretly support us. This greater will and energy must be made conscious in us and master no longer it remains as now only a superconscious upholding and permitting force. There must be achieved an undistorted transmission to us of all the all wise purpose and process of a now hidden omniscient power and omnipotent knowledge, which will turn into its pure, unobstructed, happily consenting and participating channel of all our transmuted nature. This total consecration and surrender and this resultant entire transformation and free transmission make up the whole fundamental means, the ultimate aim of an integral karma yoga.
Okay, remember that we are in the section on Karma Yoga. Okay, later on you will go on to other sections. You will go on to Jnana Yoga and then finally you will go on to Bhakti Yoga. But now Ray is discussing the Karma Yoga as applicable to the Integral Yoga. So I read each sentence and we'll see whether it's clear. Okay. But if this total conversion is to be done, note the word total. Sringa is very, very particular that he always wants a total conversion, not part conversion. The others are very satisfied with part conversion. And what is that? The soul regains its divine status and they are more than satisfied. It goes out of the body-mind life and regains its uh, divine home in the there also there are gradations, but anyway, once it is free, they are more than satisfied. Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, there. But Sringa wants total conversion. In other words, even the body mind life. Okay, so this total conversion is to be done. If it is to be done, what is one to do? There must be a consecration of our actions and outer movements as much as our mind and heart is divine. In our outer movements are I am going from one place to another, I am playing, I am doing my job. If I am a doctor, I am attending to patients. If I am an engineer, I am attending to do whatever I have to do, the work I have to do. And in our eating, sleeping, all these are the outer movements. So all these outer movements have to be dedicated and consecrated to the divine. The word consecration means offering, and once you offer something to, it becomes holy, it becomes sacred. Okay, so that's a meaning. So even your outer movements must become sacred. Eating must become a sacred movement. Even walking can become a sacred movement. Okay, anything, even speaking. Before you speak, you offer your speech to the divine. It's very difficult, but that is what Swami is saying. Total conversion. Consecration of our actions, not only actions, but our thoughts and our emotions. Everything to God. Clear?
This is there in Gita also, no?
Yes.
Since you reminded me of Sanskrit, Yad karoshi, yad ashnasi, yad juhoshi,
Yes, wonderful.
yad tapasya, tat kurushva madarpanam.
That's right, Madarpanam, exactly. Okay, everything that you do, yat karoshi, yat, as you said, ashnasi, eat. Okay, everything has to be given to the divine. So there must be accepted and progressively accomplished. Remember, it can't be done overnight. It has to be progressive. Slowly, slowly it comes. A surrender of our capacities of working, we have to surrender what? Our capacities of working. What we think is my power and my genius and my capacities, it is not your capacities at all. It is the divine working through you. So you have to surrender all these things where? Into the hands of a greater power behind us. That greater power is a universal force behind which again the divine is there. The transcendent creates the universe, universal force, and the universal force is operating and driving and guiding everything in the physical world. Okay, all the forms in the physical world. Your body, mind, life is actually, you are not doing anything. It is the universal force that is doing it. And so you have to realize that and surrender all our capacities into the hands of the greater power behind us.
The universal force, Rangada, is nature, Prakriti.
Yes, that's right. Greater power behind us is the Prakriti. It's a great power, no? Just imagine, okay, a storm is Prakriti, a whirlwind is Prakriti, okay, the sun shining is Prakriti, that huge conflagration in the sun, that fire is all Prakriti. It's a huge power. That's why I say there is greater power behind us. Okay, absolutely. And it is that which is also making the tree grow, but it's also making us grow and think and have emotions. It is that which is doing everything. We think that we are doing, but that's entirely wrong. That's what Sri is going to say now. We have to realize that the greater power behind us, that's it, Prakriti, is actually doing our work. And our sense of being the doer and worker must disappear. I am doing and I am working must disappear. You must feel that the divine is guiding you in all your actions and he is doing everything through you. Okay. It's a huge discovery. When you make your mind silent, you realize that you are not the doer. You are only pure consciousness of the soul. And body, mind, life is like a machine which is being driven by the greater power, which is the Prakriti. Prakriti is a huge power in the universe. Okay, so that's what he's saying. And it is like a car and you are the driver. So the driver, you are the car, your body, mind, life is the car, mechanical, and who is the driver? Universal force. And so you realize that universal force is driving your body, mind, life, which is an instrument, and you are doing nothing at all. It's a huge discovery and makes you also very humble. All that I thought that I was doing, actually somebody else is doing. And who is that somebody else? That huge power in the universe. Okay. All must be given for a more direct use into the hands of the divine will. So more direct use. In other words, we think that we are doing, but the more you even understand that intellectually it is good enough, but you must feel the power driving you. You must feel the power doing things through you. And so you have to surrender. You shouldn't interfere with your own ideas and your own mind and your own will. Okay? You should let the divine guide you. But that's very, very far away. But that's the ultimate aim. A more direct use into the hands of the divine will. The divine will is acting through the Prakriti's will in the universe. The divine will is standing, it's a three-tier arrangement. The transcendent, the divine will, is working through the universal will. And the universal will is motivating the individual will. It's a three-tier thing. The divine does not work directly in the universe usually. But when grace comes, he also can counteract his own laws, the own laws that he has made. Otherwise, his laws are, I will work through Prakriti, who is my agent. Okay, I will work in the universe not directly, but through my agent, who is Prakriti. Okay. It's like a company not always interfering directly, but acting through his assistant director and his supervisors. It's exactly like that. Okay. So, for that permitting will, so that you have to realize. And all must be given for a more direct use into the hands of the divine will, which is hidden by these frontal appearances. What are the frontal appearances? Your body, mind, life. Your body, mind, life are the appearances. They are only appearances, frontal appearances. Behind that is the universal force, and behind the universal force, guiding the universal force also is the divine will. For that, by that permitting will alone is our action possible. If that will were not there guiding you, nothing would have been possible. That's the ultimate generator. That's the source of all the power, the highest level. For that permitting will alone is our action possible. A hidden power is the true Lord. There you are, an overruling observer of our acts. The divine only observes and permits his agent, which is Prakriti, to work in the world. That's the word for a hidden power. The hidden power is the true Lord. The true Lord is the transcendent, the highest. And he is overruling observer. He rules, but he is observing. He is not directly interfering in the physical world, but he is doing it through his Prakriti, through his power in the physical world. He is the overruling observer of our acts, and only he knows through all the ignorance and perversion and deformation brought in by the ego their entire sense and ultimate purpose. He is the one who knows everything. We don't know our own ignorance. We take our ignorance for our own characteristics, our own character, but he knows what is to be done. So if you surrender to him, he will do everything. But if you don't surrender to him, he can't do anything because you are not allowing him to do anything. He never forces himself on anybody. You have to willingly give yourself up to him, then he will do. So a hidden power is the true Lord and overruling observer of our acts, and only he knows through all the ignorance and perversion and deformation brought in by the ego their entire sense and ultimate purpose. So what is to be done? There must be effected a complete transformation of our limited and distorted egoistic life and works into the large and direct outpouring of a greater divine life, will, energy that now secretly supports us. It is there behind us, secretly supporting and guiding, but we don't realize that. Okay, this is there's an interesting image which came to me. Okay, it's like the actor who is acting on the stage, but he has forgotten his lines. So to avoid a disaster in the drama that is taking place on the stage, you have a device called the prompter. He remains in the wings with the text that the actor has to say, and if the actor forgets, he whispers the next words. So he is the prompter. So the divine power is the prompter behind us. Okay, but we don't understand his prompting. But he is the one who is actually guiding us. He's like the director of a play. He is not to be seen anywhere. Or a director of a cinema. Okay, you see the film, but you don't see the director. So it's like that. Okay, he is there secretly behind us. When you go into an exhibition hall, you see the photographs or the paintings, but you don't see the artist. You only see what he has done. The universe is the execution, and that's what you see, but you don't see the artist. But if you really want to see the artist, you can, but that's a long yoga. Okay, then this greater will and energy, which is, note, greater will and energy. So it is when he's using the word energy, it means Prakriti necessarily. So this greater will and energy, which is Prakriti, must be conscious and master. We have to let the greater will become master and must be made conscious in us. Okay. The sentence has to be read this way. This greater will and energy must be made conscious, must be made master. Okay? No longer must it remain as now, only a super conscious. It is there behind. We are not conscious of it. It is there super conscious means above us, above our normal consciousness. Upholding and permitting force. It should not be a permitting force, it should be an executing force. He is silently agreeing to what you do, but it must guide you physically also. It must achieve an undistorted transmission through us of the all-wise purpose and process of a now hidden omniscient power and omnipotent knowledge. So, when we talk about omnipotent power and omnipotent knowledge, it's not the Prakriti anymore, it's the Purusha, the highest level. Yeah. So, omnipotent, omniscient power and omnipotent knowledge. Now look at the words. Omniscient power. The power has knowledge, and the knowledge has power. Omnipotent knowledge. He's using interesting word, no? So omniscient power. The power is full of knowledge, and omnipotent knowledge. The knowledge has got power. At our level, it's not like that at all. Huh? If I have a knowledge, I don't know exactly how to put that knowledge into action. Or if I have the capacity to do something, I don't know what to do. So, but there at the highest level, they are one. Power and knowledge are one. Chit, Shakti. Chit is consciousness, knowledge, and Shakti is power. They are one. Which will turn into its pure, unobstructed, happily consenting and participating channel, all our transmuted nature. Our nature is full of density and it does not allow the divine will to work in us. But if we make ourselves transparent, okay, we remove all the obstructions, then the divine will can act through, it enters very easily into us, and the substance being clear and transparent, it goes right down to the bottom and can guide us. But we are not clear and we are not, our substance is full of darkness, full of mud. That mud has to be. So, this total consecration and surrender and this resultant entire transformation and free transmission make up the whole fundamental means and the ultimate aim of the integral karma yoga. Note, he is adding the word integral karma yoga. The karma yoga of the others is not necessarily integral. Okay? But we have to make it integral karma yoga. As I said, he is discussing karma yoga, but he is discussing it in the context of the integral yoga. Okay? So, very clear what he's saying. We must realize that we are not doing anything. The divine is doing everything, but not that also not directly. Through the power in the universe, he is doing that. Exactly, if you think of the tree growing, the tree is growing actually. No? But the tree doesn't think that I am growing. It is nature which is making it grow. Exactly in the same way, all our actions also are exactly like the tree. The only difference is the tree has no ego and doesn't think like that. And we have an ego and we think we are doing. That's the only difference. So you get rid of the ego, you realize that you are not doing anything. It's a divine doing through you. Through the universe.
I have a question.
Yeah, tell me.
As you telling that tree doesn't think that he is growing, and the moment we get the human body, we start thinking like that I am doing. It is the negative part of the human body.
It's the ego.
But the ego comes only in the human body, no?
There is the beginning of it. There is the beginning of an ego even in the animal. Beginning of an ego. But the real ego comes not from the vital but from the mind. When the mind comes in, the ego becomes fully developed. But even in the animal, there is a vital ego. Yeah. Now that's a very interesting question which you have asked. Is there an ego even in the atom? Okay.
No. Maybe that is smallest parts must be somewhere. It will be there. That's why it is growing, no?
Exactly.
Body
Exactly. So you have to understand the difference between ego and individuality. The ultimate individual in the universe is the atom, because nothing is smaller than that. So that's the individuality. The one becoming the multiplicity in the physical world, the one is on top and the multiplicity is below. But each of the multiplicity has an individuality. It has got characteristics. So even there, individuality and ego is there latent in the atom. As it grows, keeps growing, the vital ego starts coming up in the animals, higher animals. Dogs and cats, they have a vital ego. They have even reactions and but they're not fully conscious of themselves as of their own existence. Their own existence, they're not conscious like man is of his own existence in the physical world. There is no in-look. But when the in-look comes in man, that's the ego. You realize that you are someone separate in the universe. That's the ego. Okay. It's interesting, since you're asking the question, remember that the ego really is nothing but the sense of separateness. Okay. Don't think that arrogance and sense of superiority and pride is ego. They are results of ego. They are not ego. They are the characteristics of ego. Ego is that which makes you feel separate from everybody else. But when you go into the higher level of consciousness, you feel one with everybody, the sense of separation disappears, there can be no ego. So when you go out of your body mind life, ego disappears, you feel yourself to be one with everybody else. Ego disappears. Your individuality becomes cosmic. The true individuality. So think about it, the individuality and the ego. What is the difference and how are they related? It's a very interesting question. Okay, so think about it. At the lowest level, is there an ego? Is there an individuality? And what happens to the individuality at the highest level? Okay, it's a very interesting question. There is a true individuality and there is a false individuality. The false individuality is the ego. You feel that you are separate from everybody else. Okay, we go to the next para. Even for those. So who read now? Shilpa read?
Yes.
Okay, Pallavi, you will read? Pallavi is not there? Okay, anybody else?
Pallu is not there, I think. I can
don't-
read. I think Pallu left.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I
Yeah.
read?
Yeah, please.
Even for those whose first natural movement is a consecration, a surrender, and a resultant entire transformation of the thinking mind and its knowledge, or a total consecration, surrender, and transformation of the heart and its emotions. The consecration of works is a needed element in that change. Otherwise, although they may find God in other life, they will not be able to fulfill the divine in life. Life for them will be a meaningless, undivine inconsequence. Not for them, the true victory that shall be the key to the riddle of our terrestrial existence. Their love will not be the absolute love triumphant over self. Their knowledge will not be the total consciousness and the all-embracing knowledge. It is possible indeed to begin with knowledge or Godward emotion solely, or with both together, and to leave works for the final movement of the yoga. But there is then this disadvantage that we may tend to live too exclusively within, subtilized in subjective experience, shut off in our isolated inner parts. Then we may get incrusted in our spiritual seclusion and find it difficult later on to pour ourselves triumphantly outwards and apply to life our gains in the higher nature. When we turn to add this external kingdom also to our inner conquests, we shall find ourselves too much accustomed to an activity purely subjective and ineffective on the material plane. There will be an immense difficulty in transforming the outer life and the body. Or we shall find that our action does not correspond with the inner light. It still follows the old accustomed mistaken paths, still obeys the old normal imperfect influences. The truth within us continues to be separated by a painful gulf from the ignorant mechanism of our external nature. This is a frequent experience because in such a process, the light and power come to be self contained and unwilling to express themselves in life or to use the physical means prescribed for the earth and her processes. It is as if we were living in another, a larger and subtler world and had no divine hold, perhaps little hold of any kind upon the material and terrestrial existence.
Sharda is explaining the advantage of karma yoga. Okay, when you are all your actions, you are remembering the divine and offering. Because if you don't do that, like in Jnana Yoga, if you don't do that, then your consciousness, your soul will escape from the body, mind, life, and that is your reality. So that will experience the divine. So you will be in a divine consciousness, but not in the physical world. In the physical world, your body, mind, life will continue to do all the wrong things that it was doing. That's what Shraddha is saying. Okay, and it becomes very difficult to bring down the knowledge and the power and the ananda that you have experienced in the higher planes. When the soul descends again into the body, mind, life, you go back to your old nature. Your memory may be there of the experience that you have had, but you are not able to put it into practice. You know what the truth is, but you are not able to put it into practice. The body, mind, life will continue with its old habits. This is what he's saying. So that's why this is the
Rangada, not very clear what you explained just now.
okay. Okay, I'll tell you. When you are what? You are body, vital, and mind. But those are only instruments given to you. It is your soul that's a reality, right?
Yeah.
At our level, our soul identifies itself with the body, mind, life. We think that this is what I am, but
Yeah.
it's not the reality. You are really soul. So, through yoga, whatever the way, when your soul escapes from the body, mind, life and goes into the higher planes of consciousness, it
That
really
is not death. That is not talking about death.
no, not at all. In death, of course, you do go out of your body,
Yeah.
but that is you when you are living, because when you go out of your body, it's not yoga, na? Yeah, it's a natural phenomena, and you even when you are dead, you go out, you realize that this is the real me. Okay, I refer you to all the near-death experiences that are happening all over the world now. There are at least 2,000 cases on the internet. You can check near-death experience. That means your soul goes out of your body, mind, life to consciousness, and then returns again, and then you realize that you are not the body, mind, life. It can happen not through yoga, but through accident. Accidentally, it can happen. Okay, but then you do gain. Even the near-death experience is a fantastic thing. You gain the true knowledge of what you are, and the fear of death disappears entirely after near-death experience, because you know that it's a wonderful state. When you are in the body, mind, life, the aches of the body, the sufferings of the vital, the thoughts of the mind affect your soul. But when you are outside, these things don't affect your soul at all. So you're totally free, and it's a wonderful feeling. Okay, so you realize that to be outside your body, mind, life is a wonderful experience. That's a near-death experience. Any number of people have had that. Earlier we did not know, but now because of the internet, immediately it is put on the YouTube and you come to know about all these things. So Many cases are there.
I don't know whether it is right or not to relate this here.
Tell me.
No, once I had gone for a massage at Swami Malai.
Okay.
And there they had a system of putting, like, you are sleeping, below you there is water, boiling water, and you are sleeping on a leaf,
Okay. Okay.
and then from all the sides they put this heat, and you feel like, I had that feeling that I am the near death experience, so that when we are dying, this is what the body must be feeling. That is like when you are burning the body, you feel that. And I don't know, I had a very deep experience about it, thinking that I am sleeping on a leaf, but that near death experience, that when the body will be burned, you will be feeling maybe this heat from all sides.
What is this system?
It was like, I have never ever had this type of thing afterwards. Later on, I went for so many different massages and things like that, but this particular at Swami Malai, it was like a water tank or something like that, a tub, like sort of a thing.
Achha.
But on that they put the leaf.
I understand. But where does this take place, and what is the system called?
I don't know. They just called it a massage. I went for a massage. The system was not there. I just, without knowing, I had just gone for a massage. And
where did it take place?
Huh?
Where? In which place?
In Sterling, Swami Malai. Sterling, Swami Malai.
Acha. Okay.
But now they are not having. Again, I went there then, but that system has changed. It is not there anymore.
Acha, okay.
So I was wondering that, oh my God, this is what the feeling must be when you are dying, and you are.
Must be partially it must be like that. Okay. So anyway.
Where is Swami Malai?
It's before Tanjore.
That's far from Pondi.
3 hours from here.
Yeah, Tanjore is not very far from Pondi, about 100 miles.
Yeah. So Swami Malai is just before Tanjore, like.
Some sort of a pilgrimage.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You know,
go ahead.
How does one leave one body, mind, life and go up?
Through yoga. When you
But how? What's the blueprint?
I don't think I understand exactly what you're asking. It's with yogic practices, you realize your soul, and then you realize that you are not the body, mind, life. There's a separation.
Yeah, but how does one realize one's soul?
Oh, through so many other yogas. Okay, the Jnana Yoga goes on saying to itself, I am not the body, I am not the vital, I am not the mind. That is one way. Okay. Then there are other ways by concentrating in the mind. Okay. So these are the different yogas which actually make you get the Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is the most powerful to realize that you are not the body, mind, life. In Sri Aurobindo Yoga, you do exactly what he's saying. Okay, you concentrate, but also go on offering your outer actions. What he's saying, sleeping, just like Tarika said just now, yad karoshi, yad ashnasi, whatever you're doing. Okay, sleeping, eating, whatever you're doing, offer to the Lord, offer to the Lord. Then the experience comes, but it takes time, but it comes.
Mother had told Udar that you don't do the yoga. You let me do the yoga. Make me brush my teeth. Make me eat.
That's right. That is a surrender. That is surrender. What you are saying is nothing but surrender. And surrender can be very nicely done through remembrance. The first thing is to remember and offer, remember and offer, remember and offer. Normally we don't remember. But every time you go up, that's why remembrance can be made a very interesting method. You have certain points in the day, your program, where you decide that you are going to remember the divine. One, when you are eating, when you are sleeping, when you are entering and you are starting a different thing. This is in India, that's why we do that. When we are starting a conference, we remember with a mantra or the shloka or lighting the lamp. Okay, these are all interesting means by which these things don't exist in the West. They are there in India. Every conference, everything starts with remembrance and offering. Okay, the lighting of the lamp, okay, the chanting of the shlokas, these are all ways to remember the divine. So it goes on, maybe before eating, maybe before sleeping, maybe going out of your house, maybe starting a new book, whatever you are doing, and slowly, slowly these points, they spread and they cover the whole life. So the best way is to fix some points at which you will remember the divine. So eating is very easily one, and that's what most people do also. They do that. Before eating, remember the divine and offer the food to him. Okay? In fact, mother told Udar, if you do that, even your food will taste better, she told him. Yeah. So remember and offer. Remember and offer. Very, very practical. Remember and offer, remember and offer. Seems to be very simple, but not so that simple. But if one does that, then realize that you start realizing slowly that you are really not. I think everybody has had some experience where you have to do something and you make some effort, but suddenly the thing gets done. And you feel that, "Arey, I have not put enough effort in it, and yet it got done." Okay. So that is exactly what the beginning of a realization that there is a force behind, and if you surrender to it, it will do the work for you. Okay. I think you can feel that. I think many people, if you are conscious, you feel sometimes. I have not put in enough effort, and yet it got done. Of course, I did make some initial effort, but it got done. So that's exactly what you have to do.
I think for us in the ashram, this is all the time it is happening. So we hardly realize that we are so lucky. Everything we do, it gets done.
Yes.
It just gets done.
Yes.
uh,
Yes. But one has to realize that, you know.
and we take it very for granted that.
Exactly. That's exactly what we should not do.
Mm.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we are in the.
Sometimes you feel the divine is behind you, just wanting to do, whether you want or not, it is getting done. It is getting done. It is getting done.
Yes, that is the whole theme of the Hound of Heaven, that poem. The Hound of.
Yeah.
That's right. He is pursuing you. When the soul is ready, the divine does pursue you.
Yeah.
If you remember in synthesis, in one place he says, just as the the sadhak wants the divine, okay,
Mm.
the divine also wants the sadhak, okay.
Yeah.
The bhakta and the Bhagavan, he uses these words. He says, just as bhakta wants Bhagavan, Bhagavan also wants bhakta. These are the words he uses in the synthesis.
Mm-hmm.
We have read it, if you remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so we have to, that's, we have not started reading we just read it, no?
Yeah.
So essentially what he's saying is, if you want to make your life fully divine, you have to consecrate. Karma yoga is very necessary. Right from the beginning, start doing that. If you do that, then it becomes much easier to get the higher realizations of the soul into the body mind life. It becomes possible. Otherwise, what will happen is, as Srimdo says in one place, he writes in one letter to Mother, the heavens were possessed, but not yet the earth. So what happens is your soul realizes that you are not the body mind life, but you have to descend. The soul comes down into the body mind life, and then you get back your old habits. Okay, it goes on. Yeah, you know what the truth is, but you're not able to put that into practice. Okay, this is what normally happens. So they're saying it's a frequent experience. Okay. Sremda wrote to, I told you, to mother, the heavens we have possessed, but not yet the earth. What he meant was, in the evening talks, he has said very clearly that in Baroda, when he silenced his mind, his consciousness has gone up, and you experience the self, the Brahman, and you have knowledge. But you can't remain, your consciousness can remain all the time up, it can't. Okay, it will be called down. You will have, somebody will call you for dinner, somebody will make a telephone call, somebody will ring the doorbell, you have to go in. So you come down into your normal body mind life. When you do that, the old nature comes back again. You may remember your experience, but the old nature comes back. And you are not able to fully execute the knowledge that you have had at the higher level. Knowledge as well as power. You don't have the power to do that. It takes a long time. So Sundar said, I had to do that repeatedly, until finally it became possible. Okay. I'll give you one example which you should not misunderstand. Okay. So when Mrinalini passed away, okay, Sundar had tears in his eyes. Okay. In his higher consciousness, there will be no tears. But the body mind life is used to the old nature. You understand what I'm saying, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens.
So in that way, he must be thanking her for sacrificing her life for him, no?
Okay, that's another thing. That's altogether a different subject, and it's a very interesting thing. Okay, so he, according to many in the ashram, he brought her soul back through Dilip Das' niece. Okay, her name was Esha, and she came here to the ashram. Okay, and she passed away here only in the ashram nursing home. And she was being guided by Sri Aurobindo also. There's a very interesting small book called Mrinalini, written by Niruddha. Okay, and there are very interesting details of how she was being guided. A very interesting book, small book, 40 pages, 50 pages, but very interesting. You can, yeah, you can believe it or you need not believe it, but that's interesting. Okay.
There is a book known as An Extraordinary Girl.
That's right. That's the one I'm referring to. An extraordinary girl. That's exactly what I'm referring to. Okay. And she used to constantly feel his guidance. Okay. She used to constantly feel his guidance. And she has once spoken to um, Bokul. Bokul was a girl in the ashram. She used to sing very well. And Bokul told me herself this story, that when Esha was 11 years old and she had come to the ashram in the 30s or something like that, late 30s, Srimdu, and she was there in the ashram courtyard. There was no samadhi at that time, no? There was only an ashram courtyard where the samadhi is now there. And Srimdu came to the window and was going on looking at her for a long time, probably trying to giving her, making the identification that yes, she is indeed Mrinalini's soul. Yeah, this happened, and she remembers and told this to Bokul. Bokul herself told me this, that Srimandar came to the window and was looking for a long time, and she used to get a lot of guidance from Srimandar. Not written guidance also she got, but she also got subtle guidance. Very interesting details are there, how he is to help her in life. Okay, I think we have only 3 minutes left, so we'll take up this one next time. But the basic thing in this para is consecration of works is very necessary if you want to make your life, your ordinary life, not the other life. He's using the word other life. Okay, will be oh, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sixth or seventh line from the top of the para. Otherwise, the sentence going otherwise. Just read that. Otherwise, although they may find God in other life, the other life is in the higher levels of consciousness. They will not be able to fulfill the divine in life, in the physical life. That's what it means. So, if you do that karma yoga, constantly remember an offer, eating, sleeping, doing whatever, working, everything you ask for help and you remember the divine and offer your work, it will be much easier later on to be able to execute the higher power and knowledge which you have realized in the higher levels to bring it down to the physical. It will be possible. So even your physical life will become divine. Otherwise, like in Jnana Yoga, it will be in other life. Your consciousness will be free, but you will be imperfect in the physical life. That's what he's saying. We'll take it up next time and we'll discuss the thing in detail next time. Okay? So I'm putting it on.